What is up, guys? It is Team Yugi here, and today we're going to be doing a discussion video on the ban list that just dropped yesterday. Was not a very major list by any stretch of the imagination. They hit some things that needed to be hit. They didn't take as much off the list as I thought they would have. However, I think that after Nationals and before Worlds, we'll probably see a larger increase in cards that come off of the ban list. But let's go ahead and just hop into this and talk about what there is. I'm using Dueling Book rather than going on Konami's site and scrolling down the list when I can just have all the cards right here. So we'll start with cards that were banned. We lost Phantom Knight's Rank Up Magic Launcher. I think this is the card that everybody wanted gone in the first place. A lot of people thought it was going to be the only card that got banned. We did get other cards that got banned, which we'll obviously talk about in a second. But having the Phantom Knight's Rank Up spell get banned was a pretty good decision. Don't get me wrong, it can still, like Phantom Knight cards are still really good because you can still search for the traps and everything and still kind of go off with some plays. But it's not nearly as powerful as it was. So it's going to be interesting to see where Orcust goes from here. Next banned card is Summon Sorceress, which actually we'll talk about Summon Sorceress after. Let's talk about Dark Matter Dragon first. Dark Matter Dragon, to be perfectly honest, needed to go. The card was too broken. I don't think that we should have ever even had this card created in the first place. It's done nothing but make problems since its release. So getting rid of this was a really good choice, which I don't even want to go into further details about. This card just needed to go. I'm glad that it's gone. No arguments there whatsoever. But let's talk about Summon Sorceress, because this one I think has some very significant implications associated with it. So Summon Sorceress getting banned, I think, is a good thing. The card is very overpowered. It just did too much stuff for different decks. In the Thunder Dragon Danger deck, which, by the way, is my favorite deck, no bias or anything. If you didn't draw as optimal, it would still end you on a minimum of 2 Colossus, which is still by itself a really strong board. So this card going, I think, was the intelligent thing to do on Konami's part. The implications, however, are that now we may be getting Needle Fiber in the near future. The large discussion amongst the Yu-Gi-Oh community since Summon Sorceress came out and Needle Fiber came out was that once Summon Sorceress gets banned in the TCG, chances are we will soon get Needle Fiber after. So I don't think we're going to be waiting very much longer to get Needle Fiber, which isn't necessarily a great thing, isn't necessarily a terrible thing, but we will obviously see where it goes. But that's my personal belief as far as the implication goes with that. But let's talk about cards that went to 1. We'll just start here in the extra deck with the Kagari. So Kagari went to 1 for Sky Strikers. This was the only hit that they really did to the deck. I think it was a good hit. I think that multi-roll should have probably been limited as well. However, putting Kagari to 1 will definitely put a damper on things. Some people are trying to get really tech savvy and try to toss some different cards in their deck that could help with the Kagari being limited to 1. I don't think it's worth it personally. But Kagari being to 1, I think, is a decent enough hit for now to where Sky Striker is going to have a little more of a struggle. Not as much, but I mean, I don't even think Sky Striker is the best deck of the format right now, to be perfectly honest with you. So seeing this card go to 1 doesn't necessarily faze me. But let's talk about the other cards that went to 1. That would be Lady Debug. This is one of the things that I think just needed to be kind of touched on the list. I didn't think they were going to ban it. Putting it to 1 is fine. It's just very generic search power for Salamangreat. And they already, as it is, even with Lady Debug at 1, they still have the 3 Gazelle itself, 3 Circle, which is basically 3 more Gazelle, and the Lady Debug. So technically the deck still plays 7 Gazelle. Which is really good, so there should be no concerns whatsoever there. Phantom Sky Blaster, this is another one that I think had to go to 1. This is a good hit to Thunder Dragons. I just think this was necessary. It makes sense. There's no reason for us to have excessive token generation. This card, in my opinion, is far better than Scapegoat, because Scapegoat, you can't do anything on the turn you use it, really. So you have to do it on your opponent's turn during their end phase, whereas this card, you special summon one monster out, you normal summon this, and then you're basically off to the races. So putting this to 1 is perfectly acceptable. To 2, I talked about this in my ban list discussion video, about cards that should not go higher than what they are. For whatever reason, this is the only card on the ban list that I have an issue with. For whatever reason, Konami thought it was intelligent to put this card to 2. I think this card going to 2 is a terrible decision. I'm sorry. I don't think that things that can't be chained to are exactly proper when it comes to spells or traps. When you look at something, because I know I always get like a bunch of heat for saying this, but if you look at cards like Borreload and Borrelsword, they have built-in effects that your opponent is not allowed to chain to. However, their other effects can, and on top of that, their summons themselves can be chained to. Whereas a card like Super Poly, your opponent does not know that you have it in hand, and you're just going to drop it, activate it, and they cannot do a single thing about it. To me, that's a lot less fair than a card like Borreload or Borrelsword, where you can chain to its summon, or you can chain to other effects that it activates. So to me, Super Poly going to 2 was not very intelligent. I think it's going to cause some problems in the meta, to be perfectly honest. I also think it's the reason that they did not put Shaddoll Construct back to 3 on this particular ban list, so I expect when they do put Shaddoll Construct back to 3 that this card will go back to 1, or get banned again. One or the other. That's the most likely scenario. And then 3 Miscellaneousaurus. This card coming back, I think, was neat. I didn't expect this card to come back. Don't get me wrong, I think it's cool. I think Dinos are a cool deck. But whether or not it gives dinosaurs the full boost they need, we'll find out. I mean, it's going to give them more special summon abilities now each turn, which is kind of cool. And it kind of helps True King Dinos, because Miscellaneousaurus is a fire, so your Agnamazud can trigger to summon itself and everything. So that's pretty good. I don't have any real complaints about that. But as far as, things that I think we kind of missed on, I think Saryuja should have been put to 1. Seeing it didn't get put to 1, I have some sort of suspicion that they're reprinting it in the very near future. And that then after Nationals, they're going to end up banning it. That way they can get their sales in on Saryuja reprints, and then they'll just, the sealed product, obviously Konami doesn't sell singles, but they'll get their money off of the sealed product, and then they'll ban Saryuja. As far as other decks go, I think, I'm going to end up doing probably a top 5 I'll do a top 10 meta decks. I'll do that as another video, and I'll actually try and post it in the same day, which would be today, April 24th, 2019. And I'll try and see if I can get 10 cool decks up that I think are going to do really well this format, maybe a couple honorable mentions. But as far as other implications go, I don't see too many things that are sticking out like a sore thumb. I still think that the meta is going to be about the same, roughly. I don't see anything really changing. I think Striker's still going to be half decent. It's not going to be that great, but it's still going to be half decent. I think that Thunder Dragons are going to be really, really good still with the dangers and everything. I think Salamangreat is going to be phenomenal. The only thing that I'm concerned about right now is Orcust. Even though we are getting some of these good cards in Dark Neostorm that are going to help out with the deck, I'm curious to see if it's actually going to be half decent. Or if hitting Sorceress and Magic Launch was enough to bury the deck completely. But we'll have to see on that, because I'm curious to see how that goes. But I will get to work on putting together a top 10 decks of the April 29th ban list, and then I will showcase that video so you guys can see what I'm thinking. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to talk about what your thoughts are on the ban list, please do so in the comment section down below. If you guys have anything that you think should have come off the ban list or should have been done differently, obviously comment. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to see what everyone else is thinking. And this is Team Yugi Feels signing out.